We are ready to start. We've got 7 items on the agenda, and the first one is public comment. Has anyone signed up for public comment? With no public comment, unless someone in the audience wants to comment, looks like we do not have any. Then item 2 is to consider the minutes from the February 24th meeting, our last meeting. Commissioners, if you could take a look at those if you've not already, and just let the chair know when you're ready to either make a suggested change or to make a motion concerning those minutes. Yes, Commissioner Starling.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes with any necessary changes.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? With no opposition, the motion carries. Item 3 is our budget. I would like to ask our AOE, Mr. Roberts, to give us a little introduction to the budget. Commissioners, we received those, I think, a day or two ago, but there's another copy of the draft budget in our materials today. Mr. Roberts?
Members, you received in your packet, it's numbered 3, and it's got 2 pages on there. The first page is the Election Commission operating budget. This is our operating budget for general operations of the Election Commission. It's a status quo budget. It keeps us in the operating in the same fashion as we have in the previous year. The second page reflects the elections that we have anticipated for the next fiscal year. So in March of 26, we will have the Berry Hill election. And on this sheet, you'll see it's broken down between early voting and election day. And then in May, we will have the county primary. And it's also broken down between early voting and election day. Available for any questions you might have concerning the budget, the two budgets.
Yes, Commissioner Starling.
Yes, sir. On the Berry Hill, they reimburse us back.
That's correct. And they do have the option of, instead of having their own standalone election, they could consider having their election in May. And if so, we would not charge them because we're already putting on another election. Their city attorney is currently evaluating as to whether or not that's something that they feel like they can do or they would want to do.
And just to follow up, if they reimburse us back, and this is our budget, and they pay back the $4,000 or $5,000, I'm sorry, they pay back that money, what happens? Can we use that money for something else?
No, it essentially reimburses Metro for the expenditures that we would make on behalf of Berry Hill.
Okay, thank you.
So, could you describe for us? Yes, Mr. Roberts, could you describe for us what happens? Let's say today we approve this budget. Where does it go and what's the procedures and the time periods involved?
So this budget would then be, the administration would take this recommendation, put it in their package that they put before the council. Council would vote on that typically sometime into May, 1st of June, so that we're ready to go by July 1.
Okay. And this would be subject to any supplement that you might seek from Metro? At times we've had to go back. I know it would be unusual, but is it still the case that that if you need more money, then we would have to make a request to Metro for that.
That's correct. And typically, that would be done as an amendment to the budget at some later point in time.
All right. Commissioners, any other questions? With that, do we have a motion? Yes, Commissioner Starling?
Make a motion that we adopt the proposed budget for 25, 26.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? With no opposition, the motion carries. Then item 4, we have item 4 and 5. One is, item 4 is to consider our options for relocation, and number 5 is the AOE report. I would request, Mr. Roberts, if you could introduce this to number 4 and describe to the commission what we've been doing about the relocation issue for anybody out there in the public. We are currently out on Murfreesboro Road, and that location is going to be closed. The building is being torn down for a expansion of the airport, which means we will have to move. And because of the election schedule, we will have to move pretty soon, pretty quickly, so that we can be moved before the next election. So with that, Mr. Roberts, if you could tell us what we've been doing on that issue.
So we've had multiple meetings with General Services where they've sat down with us, heard our needs as far as space goes, heard our timeline, which is pretty important. Petitions for the Berry Hill election, you can pick those up in October, and you would then be bringing them back. The key here is we would prefer not to bring them back to a different place than where you picked up those petitions. So our schedule is fairly tight. The 2025 year is really our year to move because we have no elections scheduled during 2025. It'll be the same thing in 2029, but I don't think from a current lease standpoint, we can stay until 2029 in our current space. So General Services has really gone out of their way to show us multiple locations where we could have space. As far as lease space, we've looked at Airways Park, which is just up Murfreesboro Pike. We've looked at multiple locations in Metro Center. We've looked at Kermit Drive, which is another spot up Murfreesboro Pike. And we've looked off of Briley Parkway near the airport. Included in your packet, we've tried to prepare some pros and cons of each of the spaces as to what we saw for most of the visits to these buildings. Some commissioners came, the executive staff visited those locations, and we tried to put together our thoughts as to where we thought would be the best location for us. As you can see in the materials provided, the 1281 Airways location is the option that the staff would recommend for a variety of reasons. One of those being that it would be easily described to the public where we are, especially in relationship to our current space. There's a bus stop across the street, and we're also, with McGavick Pike being right there, we're at a light, so it's easier to get in and out of our current location, or the new location. You all have experienced our current location if you're headed toward town at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. until 5 o'clock, you're putting your life at risk turning left on the Murfreesboro Road. So another big portion, because the building, we would be, if we took over the third floor, we would be the last floor to be leased, and the entire building would be Metro tenants. Metro IT has already outfitted the building with all the wiring necessary to support our operation, as well as the rest of the tenants in there. Metro also provides security with the Metro Action Commission being on the first floor. So that's a benefit. Now, we would probably work with the powers to be to move that security out into the lobby area so that you meet someone providing security before you can get on the elevators. The parking at the 1281 looks sufficient to support our operation. I think one of the things we would want Metro as a whole to help us with, there's some discussion that the police department may take over the entire building number 2. Should that happen, we'd want to make sure that from a parking standpoint, the voters had some priority as far as space goes close to the building, as opposed to the officers that work in the building. So that would be some of the things that we would want to consider. We've worked with General Services and provided them the same sketch that we provided you as to what we thought would be the best working environment for our staff on the third floor and for the public as they come in. One thing that's pretty unique to our operation is that during elections, starting about 3 months before the election, we may double our staff. And that means they have to have a place to sit. They've got to have a computer to sit at, all of those kind of things. And that could go on for, 3 weeks to a month after the election. And then we would scale back down to our regular staff until that next election comes up. And if you think about an election in May of 26 and an election in August and November, we're pretty much staffed up that whole time. So that's a little unique to most agencies. They don't have where they bring in a lot of extra help like we would. So planning the space to accommodate that so that we can be as efficient as possible in administering elections was a lot of the thought into how it was laid out. You'll notice that the space is divided up into what we would call public space and private space. The public space has doors that we could lock when not in use. The private space has doors that to get into that space, you're going to have to swipe, which means a record of you coming in and out is made. Currently at our location, I get a report twice a month that lets me know everyone that's come into our space outside of regular business hours. If they've used their swipe card, I know they've been there. We would do something similar so that random Metro employees would not be able to get into the space. And to give you an example, I received from the Metro security folks today a request for individuals to have our access to our space 8 to 4:30, a contractor. So if before they can come in, we have to give our approval for them to have access. Now, that's during the day, but at night, let's say for security alarms, fire prevention, those kind of things, there's also individuals that have 24/7. But they've had background checks. They've been run through the Metro security side of things that they feel good that this person's okay to be in there. But if you look at the space where we would store or have access to voter registration information with Social Security numbers, That's locked behind another swipe door, where we would have the ballots, absentee ballots stored. It would be behind a swipe door and behind another secure area within that space. So we've tried to draw this with our thoughts in mind. But as far as security goes, we will be reaching out to both Metro, the state, and the federal government to assist us in space design dealing with security around elections. Because that, as you all know, after probably the 2020 election, things have changed a lot as far as security goes for elections. That's kind of the short and sweet of it. Our staff, all of the staff have had an opportunity to look at the floor plan and offer suggestions as to what they think we need to add or change or whatever. So from a staff standpoint, everyone feels pretty comfortable that this is the space that they think will best suit our needs. Questions?
Commissioners, any questions? Let me at first preface this, that since security is an issue, let me first preface. What? Okay,
It doesn't like it when you push it twice.
okay.
Hit the other button.
Oh, there you go.
I would stop pushing it
Okay.
and just use.
Yes, yes, sir. Commissioner Starling, you have the floor.
The entrance to the facilities is it facing Murfreesboro Road or is it?
You've got two entrances. You can turn off Murfreesboro Road. There's an entrance there. But an easier entrance would be to turn on to McGavock Pike, and you can have access to all of the parking lots from there. That way you can come out at a light and turn either way on Murfreesboro Road a little easier than trying to, come out in the open.
And the other thing is, will we have a marquee outside stating this Davidson County Election Commission?
I think that's one of the things that we would work with General Services to, if multiple metro agencies are going to be there, instead of each one of us having our own sign out on the road, maybe there's a way to do a sign that would advertise each agency that needs to be advertised. We could accommodate that.
Yeah, and the reason why I asked, you can come up on it so fast, especially if you're coming off Bradley Parkway and you're making that left and it's on the right. And, some people can panic and want to turn off somewhere and won't have no accidents trying to get there.
And I think one of the benefits of it being there on the corner with McGavock Pike is, look for McGavock Pike and turn right on it, as opposed to trying to turn into the entrance to the parking lot.
Okay, and it was something else, but go ahead with somebody else. I'll think of what it was.
Apologies for my tardiness.
Welcome, Ms. Hertzfeld. And what we've done so far is there were no public comments. We've approved the minutes. we considered the budget and approved the budget. And Mr. Roberts then described for us the efforts we've made to look at a new location. And when you came, Mr. Starling was questioning Mr. Roberts about that. And then Mr. Smith from General Services is here. And probably after we're done talking to Mr. Roberts, then we're going to have some questions for Mr. Smith.
I'm all caught up, thank you.
Commissioners, do any other commissioners have questions for Mr. Roberts?
Yeah, I'm full of it today, so full of questions.
Yes, sir.
Since Metro IT will be moving into the facilities as well, will we be able to broadcast from the new facilities?
That's one of the requests that we're going to make, is that we can hold commission meetings in our space and actually stream from there, because right now we're kind of relegated to Friday 3 p.m. commission meetings, and that, a lot of times presents problems for a number of people.
Like traffic.
Traffic is a concern, yes.
Any other questions from the commission?
Well, I'm just, I want to, one of the things other thing I wanted to do is make sure that staff is okay with the facilities as well. That's important to me, that they are happy as well. It looks like it's a lot of room, a lot more room, like a lot of windows as well. Now, I didn't make the tour, but is it the first building on the right or the second building?
There's two buildings that look identical.
Yeah.
And right now, to make them stand out, the buildings have black glass, and there are ornamental cherry trees out in front that are in full bloom. So if you get off Briley Parkway, you can't miss it. And we're in the second building, which is considered Building 1.
Okay, so it'll be something that says 1 and 2 on.
I would anticipate when we work on the signage that we will come up with something. The entrances, you've got a couple of different ways to get into the building. There's a courtyard between the two buildings, so there would be an opportunity to have some type of directional signage. And then at the ends of each building, there's a parking lot that, for us, we could have some signage there also directing folks.
Okay. And one other thing, if the police department moves in one of these buildings, and I know they have a tendency to leave their automobiles, and that'll take up a bunch of parking spaces. Is that going to be an issue?
Right. I think one of the things that we would recommend to General Services is that if that happens, if you're just swapping out a vehicle, that you put it in the farthest part of the parking lot, as opposed to up near the entrance, where we really need that available for the public to come in.
Right. And, the way it is now, at the maintenance department over there, and you have to go over in that other lot that's tore all to pieces.
Right.
And,
We think we would have significantly more parking available to our voting public in this new space than we currently have.
Is the commission ready to hear from Mr. Smith, or might there be more questions for Mr. Roberts?
I'm ready to hear from Mr. Smith personally.
Okay. All right. Mr. Smith, can you come up to the podium? And first of all, thank you for being here. We're pleased to have you. We know you're busy, and we appreciate your coming to see us. Mr. Smith is the head of General Services for Metro Nashville.
Good evening. How are we doing today? Make sure I push the right button one time.
Fine.
Again, my name is Gerald Smith. I'm the Director of General Services. I've been here with Metro for approximately a year and maybe 2 or 3 months now, and so on. And I'm here this evening to address any questions you have.
Commissioners? Looks like Mr. Starling is, Mr. Starling has got the floor. Thank you.
Well, I really, thank you for coming. I really appreciate that. Just kind of give you a little background. We were here in this complex, Fulton Complex at one point, and then we got moved out on Murfreesboro Road. I was against that move because I thought the citizens deserve a place closer into the city. I was a little upset when we said we had to move, but in seeing what these facilities looks like and the staff seems to be okay, I appreciate y'all's efforts and support in all this. But I'm still concerned. I really still wish we were downtown, but that didn't work out. But thank you for working with the commission and fixing those needs that we have.
Well, when Jeff reached out, and shared with me, particularly given the fact that the timeline with the upcoming election, we knew that we needed to make it a priority. Because the last thing, when we're dealing with, some of the spaces that we would be looking at, no matter if it's a Metro-owned space or it's a lease space, we're still going to have to do some design work. And then we have to get it, up and ready so that you can move in relatively quickly and so on. So those were some of the concerns that we had because we knew that as the time was ticking by, opportunities were falling off the list and so on. So we're here today with an opportunity to look at this site that you're looking at, and if it meets the needs, then we need to rapidly move forward to get this facility in condition, so that you can rapidly move to the facility, as well as get your mailings ready for your next election cycle and moving forward.
Thank you.
Yes, Commissioner Starling. I'm sorry, Commissioner Hertzfeld, excuse me.
How long are we expecting to be in this space?
How long are you expected to be in this space? Well, right now, we're looking at the opportunity where you might be able to be here for the remaining term of the lease, which is, if I'm not mistaken, about, 9 years left? 2034.
Okay,
So there is a lot of available time before this lease expires. So if it is your desire to remain there, you have that opportunity.
And just from a timing standpoint, the window for our next move then would follow the 2032 presidential election. So 2033, if we were going to move, that would fit well with the expiration of the lease if we could leave, during that year.
Yes.
okay. That's a good point.
It's maybe mundane, but assuming that we approve this, will the building be ready by the time we need to get the Berry Hill election off? Is really kind of the main concern. And with all the security upgrades and things that we need, is that pretty much going to be a guarantee?
No one can offer guarantees. We would certainly shoot for that timeline to ensure that you get in the space in a timely manner. I know that efforts are underway with our design and construction team. And depending on what it is that we need to get in the building and the supply chain and getting everything in a timely manner, we believe, I heard you say April 26 for that election. Is that correct?
The election's in March.
March, okay.
I think what we would look is when people are picking up their petitions in mid-October, and what we've discussed with some of your staff is we would first focus on our reception area.
Yes.
So that we could actually offer petitions out of the new space, even if we don't have the entire office
Exactly.
finished.
That would be an excellent strategy.
That would be the direction that we would jump off of first.
So the short answer to your question is it would be available in time, because that way you would be able to achieve getting your mail-in ballots, I guess is what we're referring to here, picked up and delivered back at that reception area. But I'm pretty sure that we'll probably have everything move in. You'll be able to move in by the end of the year, if not the early of the first part of next year. But I would venture to say probably by the end of the year. We would keep you tasked and provide you with updates as to how the project is progressing so that we can make modifications to the timeline if we need to.
Yes, Commissioner Starling, you're
I would
recognized.
assume that Metro General Services takes care of the moving.
That is something that Metro General Services would be responsible for. I believe we would be using funding from, in a 4% request that will cover the cost of the move. So that, I don't know if it's in our budget or their budget. Has it? Okay.
Yeah, and that's what I was kind of figuring out. Is it in our budget to pay for the move?
I'm under the impression it may be in our budget, and if it's under our, it doesn't really matter. Potato. We will handle the move wherever the funding is.
Well, you want to make a motion to let you all pay for it?
I've talked to
At
Metro
4,000.
Finance, and they are good with putting it in their budget. Now, we'll say, as far as moving stuff for us, because General Services is building out the floor, new furniture, all of that kind of stuff, I would anticipate we would have a pretty light footprint that would need to be moved. In fact, we're trying to get rid of as much paper as we can and scan all the documents so that we're taking an electronic copy that's pretty lightweight.
Okay.
I'm trying to do that in my life too. Let me know how it works out.
Mr. Smith, this is Jim Delanis, and again, thank you for being here. I would like to piggyback a little bit on Commissioner Starling's discussion with you, especially since you've only been with Metro a little over a year, to give you some perspective of where the commission is coming from on this. As Commissioner Starling said, we used to be right here in this complex, and it was, we felt that showed the city's commitment to the election process and to democracy, and the fact that we were right here in the seat of governance. And that changed, I think, in 2008, 2009, and we were put out, as it were, out on Murfreesboro Road. And more recently, I think it's been a couple of years, we were informed that we were going to be coming back down here, and we would be in the old fire station, which made people happy, on the commission at least. We were quite pleased with that, and I believe that was part of an Ernst & Young study, and as part of that, the commission was going to be coming back downtown. At our last meeting, we were informed that that wasn't going to happen. So if you'd have been here at the last meeting, it would have been probably a bit warmer reception than what you're receiving now, because the commissioners were upset about what was happening, especially given our very tight schedule, that we were just finding out, hey, you guys are going to be, you're going to stay out on Murfreesboro Road. But since then, the staff has looked at the space that's available and have come up with plans, and I think the commission has gotten comfortable with the fact that this space is going to be built out to our specifications, and this is going to be a permanent place for us to stay. At least for us, 2034 is pretty permanent. So I did want you to have that perspective so that, things like signage and whether the public's going to be able to see that we're there when they're driving on Briley Parkway, that's going to be pretty important.
Sure.
Because at certain times of year, this commission is high visibility. And we need people to know where we are at certain times a year. Security is going to be important to us. The ability to televise our meetings is important. A lot of times we have difficulty getting this space because everybody in Metro has access to this. So those are things that would be really important to the commission in looking at this new space and kind of coming into this. The commission is satisfied based on the plans that have been drawn that this is going to be a good space for us. Have you had a chance to look at the plans that
Yes,
this?
I saw the
Okay.
plans, they were
Okay.
provided to me, and based off of what I'm seeing, it looks and it sounds like it's gonna meet your needs.
Okay, so, does it look like something that's going to be, something that GSA can do for the budget that's been provided so far?
That, I'll have to leave to my design and construction team to tell me exactly what the cost is to build it
Okay.
out and so on. I don't think we have a good number on that as of yet.
What's been budgeted so far?
Do we know what we've got presently? Okay, so we'll have to get back to you on that because whatever the cost is within reason, I'm sure we'll be able to make sure that Metro provides the cost for it.
Okay, all right. Do you have any idea when you're going to find out the number? The number we've heard bandied about is what, was it 1.2
Was it from
million?
OMB or was it from, whom did you hear it from?
I think we heard that from Mr. Roberts, who we assume got that from your office.
I think we're talking about the initial build out.
Right.
That was just kind of a ballpark number that, so I wouldn't hang my hat on,
Okay.
exactly that amount
All
of
right.
money, but.
All right, well, we've got some work in front of us in terms of finalizing the design. We're working with your staff to make sure the footprint that's there meets the needs and so that we can get it into the architect's hands so that we can get some estimates in terms of what the cost will be. Once we know what that is, we'll be communicating back to you as well as back to the mayor's office to ensure that the funding is available.
Okay, can we do this today? Can we kind of try to pick a target date because we're looking at elections pretty soon?
Sure.
When do you anticipate that those numbers will be available?
Well, we're in the process of the budgeting process right now. I don't want to speak on behalf of the mayor's office.
Sure.
And OMB. I would say let me have a conversation with them to see exactly what they think they can do in terms of a time frame to come up with a number.
Okay.
And then I can always report back to, in this case, to the administrator.
Right.
And if you want to have another meeting, we can come back and we can update you at that point in time, but the administrator will be the first to know.
Okay, all right. So commissioners, from our perspective, I'm thinking we want to be looking for those dates and that information and then schedule a meeting as soon thereafter as possible. It doesn't sound like we can schedule a date today, but it does sound like we're going to have to do that maybe at the call of the chair if that's satisfactory. And I realize it may be a little bit more complex than that, but at least for purposes of today, if we can
Fine by me.
talk about that.
It's fine by me.
Okay.
and- yeah.
Okay, all righty. Are there any other questions for Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
No, thank you
Okay.
for having me.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your coming.
Okay.
All right, with that, we still have the remainder of the AOE report. Mr. Roberts, do you have anything else to report to us?
Sure, a couple of things. I sent to each of you an executive order coming out of the White House this week, and I will tell you pretty much what I'm telling everyone that's asked. Until we receive more specific guidance from the state as to how we would implement, what we would implement, and how any of that might mesh with legislation that's currently moving through the legislature. All of that's kind of, a little gray right now. So I think it'd be a little premature if we discussed it here today until we know a little bit more. A couple of things. If you follow our social media, you've probably seen that we've, in the past, at the end of February, we removed from our voter registration rolls approximately 68,000 people. Those were people that have been in that 2 November election window. So they started back before of 2022, and we haven't heard from them since that point in time. They haven't voted, they haven't signed a petition, they haven't changed their voter registration or anything. So at this point in time, our assumption is, based on the state law, that they no longer live at the residence we have them for, and we have removed them from the rolls. Now, I will tell you that the state, on occasion, they will match our voter registration database, and I assume they do this for all counties, with the NCOA list, the National Post Office list of people that have turned in that said, I've moved. I got a list today that had 49,000 people on it. So this will, once we start, we will send them a letter that starts their window of time, and they would then come off. We're trying to figure out, do we modify our letter a little bit to give them an incentive to let us know that they no longer live in Tennessee, so that we don't carry them on the rolls for 4 years, which is what will happen if we don't give them an incentive to actually reach out to us to take care of that. So that's a little bit up in the air as to how we might do that. But, anytime we send out a social media post and it says we've taken this large number of people off, it gets folks excited. But in reality, it's just the time frame that it happens, because these people have been made inactive and their clock has run out.
That's the mandatory voter registration cleanup.
That's it.
Mandated by law. There's no.
Right, state and federal.
Right.
We're supposed to be doing this on a regular
That's
basis.
like absolutely routine, has been happening for decades. There's nothing new to that. That
Right.
is just that process.
Right.
So just to be clear about that process, these are people who have not voted, not just in 2 elections, but in 2 full presidential election cycles. And during that entire period of time, they haven't reached out, they haven't signed a petition, they've just gone dark.
Right, they've completely silent.
And we have sent them notifications and postcards and
Correct.
various things to be like, hey, are you still here? And we have heard nothing back. So this isn't new. This is a process that has been in place for a very long time. Yes?
Correct.
Okay, that's all I needed. Thank you.
Could I ask this? One of the problems that we have anytime we do something different that seems like we are trying to suppress the vote is we're not getting the information out to the right people. And when I say the right people, I'm talking about our elected officials. Because what happens is that voter will call state representative, council person, or senator about the complaint. And a lot of times they get it wrong, or they don't say what Commissioner Hirschfeld said, this is a cleanup, we have to do it. So I'm trying to figure out a way that we can educate elected officials in Davidson County that this is finna come down the road, and this is what's going to happen, instead of putting it on social media and say we're gonna clean up 49,000. That's probably a disaster in the PR world. So I don't know how you would be able to get the elected officials together You may need to send them a letter, but I would suggest you go with them first.
That's a good suggestion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Roberts, to follow up on Commissioner Hertzfeld's comments, she pointed out the two presidential election cycles. So we're talking, if I'm right, at least 8 years of process before anybody is considered to be removed from the rolls.
I mean, timing-wise, you could do it in
5
5 years,
years.
really.
Okay.
But, you know, you can't do this within 90 days of an election. So there's a lot of
Right.
things that could mess your timing up.
And their notice is sent
That's correct.
before that's considered.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and keep in mind, it's so easy to go online and change your address or whatever, and 90% of our folks probably do that now anyway. We've really moved way far away from people filling out a form and sending it to us. They just don't do that very often anymore.
Yes, Commissioner
One
Starling.
other thing, I know we're talking about the move, and I know probably before the lease goes out, 2039 or whatever it is,
34.
will we be, in Davidson County, will we be required to have our ballots printed in a different language? I know that's coming up and it's happening in a lot of other states.
Right.
If that happens, do we have enough space to have that as a separate entity in the building?
So the requirement to do anything in a different language is based on the census numbers. So the 2030 census would drive as to whether or not we've reached the trigger to do that. Now, you know, one of the things that kind of would hurt Davidson County in that trigger in the future, as far as us having to do that, we have so many people moving here from different states that don't speak a foreign language. They're just, you know, regular English people. I thought in 2020 we would have that, but we had so many more people move in that we didn't hit the trigger. Now, whether or not that'll happen in 2030, who knows? But it's language specific. It's not every language. So, you know, it would be, and we don't print today that many ballots. You know, we vote electronically, and your ballot is generated kind of on demand. So now we would have to generate it in a foreign language if that came down the pike.
Okay, I know in the new directive that the president has signed, he's talking about more paper. So we're gonna have to be doing more printing on something.
Well, down the road, depending on how that shakes out, and the Election Assistance Commission, they've got 180 days to put forth a plan as to how it will happen, those kind of things. There's just a lot of moving parts that I'm not sure anybody has an answer as to, you know, are we going to be voting using paper ballots or not?
Commissioners, is there anything further on the AOE report?
Let me just say one more thing,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Chairman. We sent out 1,312 citizenship letters back the first of the year, giving those individuals a time frame that they had to respond back to us based on the state law. We've heard from quite a few, but we have 1,171 who have not responded back. So right now, timing-wise, on or about the 1st of April, we will be moving those folks off of our voting rolls. That's all I've got,
All
Mr.
right.
Chairman.
Mr. Roberts, are there any, to this point, where there's been a challenge to where we would have to have a meeting to consider the challenge?
No one has challenged, and I really struggle with understanding what you would challenge.
I understand.
You would have to challenge that you've got some document that says you're a U.S. citizen that we haven't accepted. And I think that would be a little odd since the documents that we can accept are defined in the law. So I'm not sure that I would count on having lots of challenges to our ruling that you haven't provided anything. I mean, at this point, they've provided nothing. It's not like they provided something and we've said this isn't good enough.
Right.
We've not heard from these people.
Okay. And again, this is a procedure mandated by state law, and it's not something
That's
we
correct.
have any discretion over.
That's correct.
Okay. Anything further from the commission to Mr. Roberts on the AOE report? All right. With that, we are at item number 6 about scheduling the next meeting. Mr. Roberts, is there anything that we have to schedule a meeting for in the next couple months?
Yes. You will have to have an organizational meeting. I want to say by the 20th of April. So we've got the 15th and the 18th as opportunities for a meeting.
I think perhaps we should wait to schedule that meeting until we know
Right.
who will be serving on the commission.
Yes, I agree.
Right.
That makes sense. When, do you know, Mr. Roberts, when the state commission meets? Because that's when the appointments will come out.
It's my understanding they meet on the 7th.
Okay.
What we would like to do is just get it, we don't have to schedule the meeting. We just want it on your calendar so that these were the dates that we have an opportunity to be here.
Okay.
If you don't want to be here, we've got a little more flexibility.
I don't think
Okay.
we'll be here, but yes.
Sure. So what were those two dates again?
The 15th and the 18th of April.
April 15 and 18. All right. Okay. So with that, commissioners, the next meeting will be at the call of the chair.
You say that?
Okay. Yes, sir. You have the chair, Mr. Starling.
Before we adjourn, this is going to be my last meeting, Nikki. I didn't know if you knew or not. I've been on the election commission 25 years, Kelly? Yeah. And it pays well, folks. It pays well. I just want to, get this on the record that I've enjoyed all 25 years. I've learned a lot. I want to praise the staff because it's, y'all second to none. Y'all have really made it happen. We've had a bunch of ups and downs, but we've always kept the voter as number one. And we try to call balls and strikes the way it should be called. I've made it my mission to try to be as equal and as fair as I possibly can. I hope I've done that. I hope I've shared my personality with some of you and, to show you that I did care about all of you. And, I'm going to miss the workers. I'm going to miss all the workers that's out there, know just about all of them. And, I'm going to hang around a little bit too, folks. I will come to the meeting. But, the next meeting you have with the new commissioners, I want to come if I can, Mr. Chairman, if you're here too.
You're always welcome.
Yeah, and just speak to the new commissioners if you can give me more than 1 minute. And,
Well, okay.
but no, it's been a pleasure. It's been a good ride for me. It's been a good ride for everybody. And, I love all of you. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Thank you.
Yes.
So this is also my last meeting. And so I wanted to thank everybody for the opportunity to serve for the last, 12-something years. But if I can't have my partner in crime, AJ, I just don't want to do it anymore. So we came, we started out with me following AJ around and having him followed on election day. I had him followed all election day. That's how we got to know each other, and then he got me to get involved in this motley crew. And anyway, it's been a fun time. Whoever's replacing us will take over cookie duty, so we will make sure that you all are still with your cookies. And I will make sure that someone else takes over my designated agenda item, which is always the motion to adjourn. So with that being said, motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
With no opposition, the motion carries unanimously. And thank you all, really.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.